Roger Godsiff.
Mr. Speaker, I've been to Syria on 2 occasions as part of delegations and had audiences with President Assad, and they were certainly illuminating. Syria is ruled by a family fiefdom, which is a history of brutality, and its political structure, the Ba'athist Party, is modelled on the old Russian Communist Party. I say that, Mr. Speaker, because I do not, however, believe that President Assad is a fool, but I'll return to that later. What's happened to the people of Syria is a crime against humanity, and it's imperative, as the Leader of the Opposition said, to bring the conflict to an end as soon as possible. War crimes have been committed by both sides, and Assad should, in due course, be held accountable for declaring war on his own people. When it was alleged, Mr. Speaker, that chemical weapons had been used in the latest atrocity, I welcome the fact that UN weapons inspectors were going to go to the site. However, I was very concerned when almost immediately the Foreign Secretary appeared on television, dismissively making preemptive comments about the fact that the evidence they might find may already have disappeared or been contaminated, and they might not find anything. Now, Mr. Speaker, I don't believe that the Foreign Secretary is not an honourable man, but his comments reminded me very much indeed of what was said in the run-up to the invasion of Iraq by the USA and Britain. We were told at the time the Saddam Hussein regime had weapons of mass destruction. We were told that the weapons inspectors would not find any because they'd been very well hidden. We were told that there was incontrovertible evidence from the intelligence services that weapons of mass destruction existed. And finally, in the last debate in this chamber, we were told that the WMDs could hit this country within 45 minutes. And what happened subsequently? We found out that what was said was not true. The intelligence had been sexed up. The weapons of mass destruction did not exist, and political decisions had been taken at President Bush's ranch in America way before the conflict began. And indeed, now I ask the government bench to answer this tonight. If the Chilcot Committee report would be published instead of disappearing into the ether, then I think a lot of people would like to know whether what I have said and others have said is actually correct. So I pose the question, when will the Chilcot report be released? Furthermore, as I said previously, the consequences, it's been said by many people, the consequences caused poison to enter British politics and for a total distrust of politicians and governments. And of course there are consequences, and these have been very well outlined by other members. But turning back to President Assad, I said at the beginning I didn't think he was a fool. He was educated in the West, he was trained as an eye specialist, he's married to somebody who was brought up in this country and indeed worked for a merchant bank. The Assad family has ruled Syria for generations, and of course they're not averse to brutality or to atrocities. The father of Assad killed 50,000 people in an uprising in Homs during his reign. So this is a brutal family. But just consider it. The regime has chemical weapons, we all know that. They had a nuclear capability which existed, but that was taken out by the Israelis in 2007. I will.
Briefly, I'm extremely grateful to him for giving way. On that point, Assad is not a fool. Will he therefore perhaps sit up and take notice, although Syria is not a member of the International Criminal Court, if we build a dossier to look at convicting him at some point in the future as a war criminal, a recognition that he would therefore have nowhere to move if he did not comply?
As I've said quite clearly, I believe he should be held accountable for his actions and he should be brought before the international courts. Mr. Speaker, the regime has got the total patronage of Russia, who can veto resolutions in the Security Council. They weaponry some of the most sophisticated around supplied by Russia and Iran. They have total control of the skies in Syria. They have helicopter gunships. And they also have a surrogate army fighting with Syrian government forces in the shape of Hezbollah. So, as quite rightly my good friend, the member for New Forest, said, what's in it for Assad? Why should he deliberately go out and take part in an atrocity which is absolutely guaranteed to bring an international response, which is the one thing he doesn't want and the one thing all the disparate organisations fighting against him do want?
The American intelligence services believe Assad did it. The British intelligence services believe Assad did it. The French, even the German intelligence services believe Assad did it. The whole Arab League think Assad did it.
Right.
If this debate is to be conducted on the basis that somehow we in this House know better than all these people, these experts, name one expert on Syria who does not believe that President Assad is responsible for this attack. Name one.
Well, let me answer the honourable member in this way. I said previously that what happened over Iraq had poisoned British politics. But what's more to the point, and he was here at the time, there are a very large number of members who were in this House at the time who vowed again privately they would never believe one single solitary assurance given by any Prime Minister who comes to the dispatch box and says, trust me, I'm taking this country into a military adventure. Now, Mr. Speaker, I return again. Why would Assad do it? What's in it for them? Because dictators have one unifying thing in common. They want to remain in power. They want to have the spoils of being a dictator and all that goes with it. So why on earth, why on earth would they wish to bring upon themselves cruise and Tomahawk missiles? Why on earth would they want Western countries to get involved in the Syrian civil war? Why on earth would they want to lose power?
Mr. Crispin.